Ko, and I work for the Communication and Information sector in the UNESCO Nairobi office, the Regional Office for Eastern Africa. And I'm sure you might have noticed that there are several of me right now in the chat, and that's because completely my mistake. Please rename yourself if you've used the link that I sent to you this morning to enter so that we know who you are, including your organization at the end. So without further ado, I'm just going to orientate you very briefly to the program that you see over here. I will be passing the time over to our acting director, Alexandros Makarigakis, to give an introduction and introduce us to our speakers for the opening remarks. Alex, please.
Thank you very much, Sermaine. Let me, first of all, welcome all our distinguished guests, our esteemed experts. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, afternoon, or evening, depending where you are joining us from. I would also thank and acknowledge the presence of Dr. Tafik Jelassi, our Assistant Director General for Communication and Information in UNESCO, Mr. Papa Momar Diop, the President of the African Regional Committee of the Memory of the World Program, and Mr. Kimbai Kim, the President of the Memory of the World Committee for Asia and the Pacific. And within these three personalities, I would like also to acknowledge and thank all the representatives of the National Memory of the World Committees from Africa, the National Commissions for UNESCO, and memory institutions from Africa present here today. We are gathered here today to celebrate the launch of the new publication, Memory of the World, Documentary Heritage Treasures of Africa, which features the 26 African inscriptions on the Memory of the World International Register, including 3 new items that they were added to the list in 2023. This publication is not just a mere compilation of historical documents. It symbolizes our UNESCO strong commitment and, of course, our regional office's commitment to continue to support the Memory of the World program, to foster collaboration, and to increase the visibility of documentary heritage in Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, let me also take the opportunity to congratulate my team, and especially the communication information team of our office, which has played a crucial role in bringing this publication to light. Through coordination, redaction, editing, graphic design, and translation, they have worked tirelessly to ensure the success of this project. I would also like to share my deepest appreciation for the custodians of the documentary heritage inscriptions and all the field offices from Africa who supported in data collection. This publication would not have been possible without their unwavering commitment and hard work. Their passion for preserving and sharing Africa's cultural legacy has been instrumental in ensuring these invaluable treasures that are safeguarded for future generations to come. And now it is my pleasure and honor to give the floor to our 2 next speakers, starting with the Assistant Director General for Communication and Information at UNESCO, Dr. Tafik Jelassi, who since 2021 has been the leading person of our communication information activities. He is responsible for UNESCO programs on fostering freedom of expression, leading digital transformation, strategizing the role of ICT in education, and building inclusive knowledge societies. Dr. Tafik holds a PhD in Management Information Systems from NYU, and he has postgraduate diplomas from University of Paris in Dauphine. He has served as Minister of Higher Education, Scientific and Research, Information and Communication Technologies in Tunisia, as well as Dean and Professor, and he has an extensive international experience in higher education, scientific research, and digital technologies. Dr. Jelassi, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Alexandros. Distinguished guests, honorable speakers, friends, and colleagues. Let me start by expressing my deepest appreciation to the African Regional Committee for Memory of the World, led by President Papa Momar Diop. My gratitude also goes to the custodians of the Memory of the World inscriptions across Africa, notably the National Memory of the World Committees, the National Commissions for UNESCO in Africa, and the UNESCO Regional Office in Nairobi, but other UNESCO field offices who made this publication possible. Today, we gather to recognize a collective effort to illuminate Africa's documentary heritage and to launch our new book entitled Memory of the World, Documentary Heritage Treasures of Africa. This is the first publication of its kind for the African continent. It is available in both English and French. It showcases the 26 documentary heritage inscriptions from Africa in the Memory of the World International Register of UNESCO, including, as Alexandros mentioned, the 3 new additions.
Dr. Jelassi, I don't think we can hear you. Sermen, is it me?
No, I believe perhaps he might have dropped off the call. We'll just give it a few seconds.
Yes. Colleagues, apologies for the technical difficulties. Please bear with us.
Dr. Jelassi, can you hear us? If you are in the call, I think you're on mute, so we can't hear you. If you could assist to unmute yourself. Thank you.
Voilà.
Okay.
Ah, voilà. La vidéo? Ouais.
Hello again, can you see me? Hello?
Yes, you're back. Thank you.
Yes, we can hear you.
My
And
apologies.
see you. And see you.
My apologies for this technical issue. So I'm back. Okay, let me pick it up from where I left it. I was introducing the publication, and I was saying that compiling photographs and materials from all African inscriptions on the UNESCO Memory of the World Register was not an easy task. It was indeed a long journey. And here again, I want to thank warmly all those who contributed to this outcome. Some inscriptions date back to 1997, when neither the internet nor email were used for nominations, and this required us to trace contacts of custodians to access these important inscriptions. As we commend the dedication of custodians, archivists, researchers, and institutions who play a crucial role in preserving and promoting these invaluable treasures, we should reflect on how to advance the promotion of documentary heritage in Africa and ensure a proper representation in the Memory of the World International Register of UNESCO. Despite Africa's rich cultural heritage, its documentary heritage remains largely invisible on a global stage. Out of today's 496 inscriptions in the Memory of the World International Register, only 26 are from Africa. This represents only 5% of the total collection in our Memory of the World International Register. Obviously, this is an underrepresentation that fails to capture the extensive richness of documentary heritage in Africa, as I said a minute ago. Several factors contribute to this disparity, including limited awareness among member states about the importance of safeguarding documentary heritage. Only 19 countries in Africa have established national memory of the world committees. Manuscripts, rare books, archives, audiovisual tapes, stone inscriptions, and other records often serve as the only remnants of the past. However, they are faced with threats such as natural disasters and deliberate destruction. The 2021 devastation by fire of the University of Cape Town's archives and library, and the 2013 deliberate destruction of ancient manuscripts in Timbuktu in Mali are just a couple of examples of what I mentioned. Moreover, the fragile nature of these documents often hinders public access. Digitization of documentary heritage is therefore crucial for preserving them and making these archives accessible widely to the public. In 1992, UNESCO established its Memory of the World program based on the strong belief that the world's documentary heritage belongs to all. The program aims to preserve the world's archives and promote them through wide access. An integral component of the program is its international register. It serves to heighten awareness among member states and the public regarding the significance of documentary heritage. It emphasizes the urgent need for their preservation while shedding light on the historical narratives they hold. To enhance the implementation capacity of the Memory of the World program in the region, UNESCO and ARCMO organized last year regional workshops in Uganda and Djibouti for national Memory of the World committees. Similar support was extended at the national level in countries such as Kenya and Madagascar. Through initiatives such as the inter-regional cooperation between ARCMO and the Memory of the World Regional Committees for Asia and the Pacific, MAUCAP, UNESCO also aims to bolster networking and collaboration. Other ongoing efforts include cooperation between ARCMO and UNESCO's Category 2 International Center for Documentary Heritage, which is, as you know, located in the Korean city of Cheongju, which will certainly benefit documentary heritage preservation work both in Africa and Asia. Furthermore, the UNITWIN UNESCO Chair Archives at the Service of African Nations and Societies was launched last March to enhance the capacity of higher education institutions in Africa and to promote an integrated system of research, teaching, and training for archive preservation and accessibility. In conclusion, let me say that through this publication we are launching today, we aspire to amplify awareness and advocate for safeguarding Africa's rich legacy. These records serve as windows into Africa's shared memory, reflecting its diverse identities, cultures, and traditions, as well as narratives of resilience and humanity. Preserving these records is our historical duty. As custodians, archivists, librarians, researchers, and policymakers, we bear together a collective responsibility to safeguard these invaluable records so that present and future generations can embrace our past, draw essential lessons from it, and cherish our cultural heritage. Let's never underestimate the importance of these lessons. They serve as a cornerstone to foster peace and tolerance in the hearts and minds of people, reminding us never to forget the sacrifices made for the betterment of our world. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you very, very much, Dr. Jelassi, for this powerful statement. Now it is my pleasure to give the floor to the second speaker, Mr. Papa Momar Diop, a historian holding a diploma in advanced studies in history, among other things, an exceptional curator of archives, former director of the National Archives of Senegal from 2005 to 2008. He has taught archival science, the history of archives and pre-colonial African institutions at the School of Archivists, Librarians at the Cheikh Anta Diop University of Dakar. And on October 2023, Mr. Papa Momar Diop received the prestigious distinction of Fellow of International Council on Archives, which is the highest distinction awarded by the international community of archivists to personalities and professionals who have made a great and remarkable contribution to the progress of archives, the preservation of memory and heritage in the world, and being the first African to win this distinction since its creation in 1948. We have had the pleasure of having Mr. Diop serving as an ambassador and permanent delegate of Senegal to UNESCO, and since 2015 as a member of the organization's International Memory of the World Advisory Committee, a committee that he has been presiding ever since 2021. Mr. Diop, the floor is yours.
Mr. Diop, could you please unmute yourself?
Voilà, vous m'entendez?
Oui, on vous attend maintenant très bien. Merci.
Monsieur le sous-directeur communication et information, Dr Taoufik Jelassi, monsieur le chef de l'unité pour le patrimoine documentaire, Dr Faxon Banda, monsieur le représentant du directeur du bureau régional de l'UNESCO de Nairobi, Dr Alexandro Makaragas, mesdames, messieurs les présidents des comités nationaux, monsieur le secrétaire général de la Commission nationale du Sénégal pour l'UNESCO, professeur Aliouli, madame la chef du secteur communication et information de l'UNESCO Nairobi, docteur Misako Ito, monsieur le chef du secteur communication et information de l'UNESCO Dakar, monsieur Michel Kenmo, mesdames et messieurs, en vos rangs et titres, chers collègues, au nom du Comité régional africain Mémoire du Monde, ARCMOV, je voudrais magnifier avec beaucoup de gratitude cette heureuse initiative du Bureau régional de l'UNESCO à Nairobi de confectionner et éditer le livre Mémoire du Monde, trésor du patrimoine documentaire de l'Afrique, dont nous procédons au lancement aujourd'hui. Que le directeur du bureau de Nairobi, sa conseillère communication et information, Madame Misako Ito, avec son staff, en soit remercié. Je voudrais rappeler qu'ARCMOV avait publié en 2021 un travail bilingue anglais et français sur la question intitulé L'Afrique et le programme Mémoire du Monde de l'UNESCO, inscription au registre international et lauréat du prix Gigji de 1997 à 2017. L'ouvrage s'arrêtait aux inscriptions issues de la 13e session du Comité consultatif international tenue à Paris en 2017. Tantôt, j'ai dit que le livre est une heureuse initiative, c'est à double titre. Premièrement, il met à jour le livre de 2021 en intégrant les 2 inscriptions de 2013. Là, j'ai entendu tout à l'heure qu'on parlait de 3 inscriptions, mais en fait, il y a 2 inscriptions, parce que le 3e est de la Tunisie, et pour la Tunisie, et la Tunisie ne fait pas partie du groupe africain, elle fait partie du groupe arabe. Donc, nous avons, en tout cas pour ce qui concerne ARCMOV, 2 inscriptions, donc, que sont celles pour le Burkina Faso, conjointement avec la France, et pour Maurice. En plus, il corrige certaines erreurs qui nous ont échappé dans le premier livre. Deuxièmement, le nouvel ouvrage améliore grandement le premier en ce qu'il présente beaucoup mieux les biens inscrits. L'excellente qualité de l'impression et les riches illustrations de très haute résolution sont autant de valeurs ajoutées qui rendent la consultation de l'ouvrage plus agréable. Avec les deux nouvelles inscriptions que j'ai évoquées tantôt, l'Afrique a aujourd'hui non 26 biens, mais 25 biens sur les 494 inscriptions que compte le registre international. Ce ratio, comme l'a dit monsieur le sous-directeur général, est très faible eu égard au potentiel documentaire dont recèle l'Afrique. Et donc, ce ratio a besoin d'être porté sensiblement à la hausse. Les propositions d'inscription pour la 15e session 2024-2025 du Comité consultatif international sont closes le 31 janvier dernier. Gageons avoir beaucoup de soumissions du continent en espérant gagner de nouvelles inscriptions et, en conséquence, avoir une nouvelle mise à jour du livre en 2026. De ce point de vue, nous savons au moins que 4 des 5 pays africains à langue officielle portugaise, le PALOP, avaient en chantier des dossiers nationaux ou conjoints à soumettre. À propos des soumissions à la session en cours, je voudrais profiter de cette occasion pour réitérer aux collègues présidents des comités nationaux notre appel à disposer de la liste des présentations faites par leur pays. Cela va nous permettre d'établir des statistiques de ce type de biens à l'échelle continentale et d'en faire le monitoring. Par ailleurs, souhaitons que d'ici la session 2024-2025 du Comité consultatif international, le registre africain Mémoire du monde soit opérationnel et ait ses premières inscriptions. En tout état de cause, nous comptons y arriver courant 2025 avant l'Assemblée générale d'Arc-Mauve et l'élection de son nouveau comité exécutif. Je ne saurais terminer sans remercier, au nom de mes collègues du continent, archivistes, bibliothécaires et muséologues, comme celui de la communauté des chercheurs africains et du monde, nos vifs remerciements à l'UNESCO à travers son unité pour le patrimoine documentaire, ses bureaux régionaux de Nairobi et de Dakar pour leurs appuis multiformes. Je voudrais également témoigner notre gratitude à Monsieur le secrétaire général de la Commission nationale du Sénégal pour l'UNESCO, professeur Aliouli, pour son rôle bienveillant et actif dans la revitalisation d'Arc-Mauve en 2021 et dans l'édition du premier livre. Je vous remercie de votre aimable attention. Merci.
Mille merci, Monsieur Diop, pour votre soutien et votre parole pour aujourd'hui. Maintenant, qu'est-ce que je voudrais faire, c'est pour donner la parole à ma collègue, Madame Misako Ito. I will now give the floor to Ms. Misako Ito, the Regional Advisor for Communications and Information in Africa, who is based, we're happy to have her based at the UNESCO Regional Office for Eastern Africa in Nairobi, to give us an overview of the book, Memory of the World, Documentary Heritage Treasures of Africa. Misako, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Alex, and good morning, everyone. So before we close this opening session, I just would like that we have a photo session, if that is okay, with all of us. So please, if possible, open your cameras and my colleague Martin will make the photo. So Martin, you tell us if it's done. Hopefully
So I'm gonna go
you
on
can.
a count of 1, 2, 3, and then you just hold your smiles for a while we take some screenshots, okay? Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Hold it there. We have a huge group of people. Okay, amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you very
Lisako,
much.
back to you.
So yeah, so before we move to the presentation, can we just show the videos?
Africa is a continent of many stories, stories that our parents, grandparents, and ancestors tell us, passed down endlessly through time. There are also stories in diaries, archives, photographs, even drawings and poems that together make our shared memory of the past. This is known as documentary heritage, and they hold the key to understanding the region's past, present, and future. For the very first time, all of Africa's memory of the world inscriptions are collected here in one single book, Memory of the World: Documentary Heritage Treasures of Africa, which features 26 African documentary heritage collections from the multilingual archives of Angola's Ndembu chiefs to the judgment dockets of Zimbabwe's national heroes, from 47 custodians around the world who share a commitment to safeguarding and promoting Africa's documentary heritage treasures.
Thank you very much, and I would like also to thank Charmaine and my colleague Sylvia, who lent her voice in this nice video that captures the essence of the book and what is it in the content. So let me now share briefly, give you an overview of the newly published book on memory of the world. Okay, thanks. So this is, and again, you know, for those who are Francophone, we have also the interpretations available in French. So please do not hesitate to choose the channel of the languages. So this is the first publication of its kind that introduced to the 26 documentary heritage inscription from Africa. And actually, you know, just to reply to Papa, actually there were 2 inscriptions from Mauritius last year. So this is why we have 3 inscriptions from 2023, which brings to the total number to 26. But it is still very low in terms of representations of Africa in the global registers. So the publication brings informative descriptions and high quality image, and it is available both in French and English. I can also let me so this is the new book that you can see, and we have the printed versions, and we can share the printed version with you on request. Next slide, please. So, I mean, I don't need to repeat, all of you are all expert in this field. So this is a program that was created in 1992 to preserve world documentary heritage of outstanding universal value with 3 main objectives: preservation, access, and public awareness. Next slide, please. So the Memory of the War Registers, the international one, began in 1997, and inscriptions are listed every 2 years. And so it's lists documentary heritage, which has been endorsed as corresponding to the selection criteria of world significance and outstanding value. So the inscription of the registers, it shows the significance of the documentary heritage. It helps to make it better known by the general public and allows for greater access to it for research, education, entertainment, preservation over time, etc. Next slide, please. As Dr. Taufik Jelassi mentions, unfortunately, Africa is underrepresented. We have only 5% of the inscription in the global registers that come from Africa. Next slide, please. And in this publication, we are featuring 26 inscriptions that come from 14 countries out of 47 countries in African regions. Next slide, please. And this is how each inscription is presented in the book. So you have the title, you have the country, you have the year of inscription, you have the custodians, and then for each specific inscription, we are giving a historical context, the description of the inscriptions, and then we mention whether there is any threat to those documentary heritage, the repository, and how we can access to it. Next slide, please. And what is also interesting to highlight in this book that women are too often forgotten from historical narrative, but also in the archives, despite the fundamental role that they played in making the history. And the publication present actually the stories of 3 women from Africa who moved the line defining traditional gender roles. So we have Lucy Lloyd and Dorothy Brick in the Bleak collection from South Africa, but we also have Nehanda in Nehanda and Kaguvi Medium Judgment Docket from Zimbabwe. So just to say a few words about this, the Bleak collection, it's an historical archive of languages and culture of San people, which is a community of indigenous hunters from Southern Africa and which are known as Bushmen. And behind this unique collection and research work, there were 2 women anthropologists. One is Dorothy Brick, who was the daughter of a pioneer philologist who studied languages and culture of Southern Africa in the late 18th century. And the other woman is her aunt, Lucy Lloyd, who developed with her father the first oral histories project of San people. Next, please. And then Nehanda, which is a feature in this important heritage from Zimbabwe. Nehanda is one of the key 2 spirit mediums who inspired the revolution in Zimbabwe. She spoke out strongly against colonial rule and generated the spirit of nationalism among local people. It is under her guidance that people in Zimbabwe were united to resist the colonial wave, and this is now remembered as the first Chimurenga, which means a war of independence in 1896. And because of her role in the revolution, she was arrested, prosecuted, and sentenced to death in 1898. But almost 100 years later, her prophecy inspired the second Chimurenga, which eventually led to the liberation of Zimbabwe in 1980. And Nehanda is an important reference point for many women in politics in Zimbabwe and also in the whole continent. The national memory of Nehanda's leadership and her courage play a critical role in strengthening public perception for women in top governance, and which include also the appointment of Zimbabwe's first female vice president, Joyce Mujulu, in 2004. Next slide, please. So we would like to encourage really the more institutions to nominate documentary heritage featuring important historical role that the woman has played in Africa. And in this book, we are deeply thanking the contributors of the text and also of the images, all the custodians who make these books possible, but of course, UNESCO's national commissions and also the National Memory of the World committees, as well as the experts from ACMO who helped to revise and review the text to make it accurate. And I also want to thank all the field offices who has contributing in bringing this book to life. Last slide, please. And just to close these presentations, I would like again invite more African nominations to this call, which is the invitation to the 10th edition of UNESCO Jigchi Memory of the World Prize. So the prize commemorates the oldest known book of movable metal print in the world, which comes from Korea and which is inscribed on UNESCO's Memory of the World registers. And so founded by Republic of Korea, there is a prize of $30,000, which is awarded to individuals or institutions that have made significant contribution to the preservation and accessibility of documentary heritage. And you have the details of the applications on our website. And the deadline is end of April. So I really would like to take these opportunities to invite African institutions to submit to these wonderful awards. And last slide, please. And so to connect with us, you can download the book on UNESCO's digital library. And you can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, as well as on UNESCO's Nairobi website. And for those who wish to have the printed version of the book, we will make sure to make them available through the network of our field offices. So thank you very much again for all your contributions. And let me give back the floor to my colleague, Charmaine, for the next session. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Misako, for the great overview and taking us through and introducing us to this publication. So I'm not sure if everyone has been following the chat, but if you haven't, you can actually see the links that my colleague Sylvia has been dropping in. So we have put in the links for the publication inside if you would like to take a look at it and look at it online and follow along as we continue with the rest of the program. And now I would like to hand the time over to the Head of Unit for Documentary Heritage in the Memory of the World Secretariat, Mr. Faxon Banda, to take us through a panel discussion with some representatives from regional, national committees for the Memory of the World program. And I would just hand it over right now to Mr. Faxon Banda to take us through. Thank you.
Thank you, Shaman. I appreciate this, and thank you, Misako, for that lively introduction to the publication. And I also want to add to the ADG's remarks by welcoming all of you once again to this launch, and especially to this panel that features colleagues that have been active in the area of identification, preservation, and accessibility of documentary heritage, both at the national, regional, and international levels. What we seek to do for this panel is to answer the question, how can we raise the importance of documentary heritage in Africa and possibly increase nominations from our member states? This is key, given the low statistics that have been cited. But before I proceed, I do want to thank the Republic of Korea here, and in particular the National Commission, but also the government of Brazil for the support that they have provided to the Memory of the World program in order to provide training to memory institutions in as far as preparing effective nomination dossier is concerned. And these workshops have involved African memory institutions. And largely because of that, I'm proud to say that this year we might have close to 11 nominations coming from Africa. And the hope is that many of those will be successful. And I think this is, in a sense, the highest number that we've had. So there is an inroad being made in that area. But let me then turn to my panelists, and starting with Mr. Kwibe Kim. Mr. Kim, MOCAP has come a long way since its establishment in 1998. What are some of the key challenges that you have faced, and how do you continue to nurture such a vibrant community of memory institutions today? We hold you out as a prime example of what a regional committee ought to be, and I'm glad that you're working with ACMO. Over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Faxenbanda, and also before I really congratulate the publication of the African books. And yes, we have faced lots of challenges so far. Actually, as the first regional committee, MOCAP has grown through the voluntary participation of the members, and also we have a very difficult because it's a lack of awareness about the Memory World program among public, and also lack of sufficient operational funds to run the regional committee at the early stage. But fortunately, finally we can secure the MOCAP office in Korea, and also the support from the human and financial resources from the government as we try to find a solution so long time. And this is all the achievement that our members work together so diligently, so for long times. And also to foster the participation of the memory institutions, I believe that the role of the MOW National Committee in each member countries is very crucial. Actually, as ADG said, Africa has only 9 national committee. So I think we should more national committee encouraged to establish the more national committee. Currently, we also the Asia Pacific also 21 national committees, and that means more than half of the countries still do not have MOW national committee in Asia Pacific. So therefore, there are plans to encourage the establishment of national committees in more members countries in the future as a regional committee. Thank you.
Now, Mr. Kim, MOCAP does have its own regional register. What are its aims, and how does it contribute, in your view, to documentary heritage promotion in the Asia Pacific? And if you may, how does it differ from the Memory of the World International Register?
Yes, Asia Pacific region currently holds 64 items in the regional register. MOCAP continues to urge member countries to enhance the visibility of heritage inscribed in the regional register and promote it to the public through their national committees. Additionally, MOCAP supports efforts to raise awareness among public through the grant programs and mobilize more funds from the private and public sector. And I'm sure still the regional register is considered a most powerful tools for enhancing and increasing public interest in the Memory World program, and also it's possible to extract government support. So I'm sure register system will greatly contribute to the preservation and promotion of African diverse cultural heritage. And also your question about the main difference between regional register and international register, I think they lies in the historical significance of the documents, whether they are limited to the region or have a global historical significance. However, I think both registers are equally important for us. Thank you.
Let me move on to Elena Samoa Hassan, who happens to be the president, the vice president of ACMO. You are also considering establishing a regional register. Why do you think this is important for you, and how do you plan to pan it out over the coming month, and so on and so forth?
Thank you very much, Dr. Faxon. And I also wish to stand on the existing protocol. And then also want to say that we're really happy that UNESCO has come up with this edition of the documentary heritage in Africa. Yes, like the president of ACMO said, we did something 2 or 3 years ago, and this is an improvement on that, which is very welcome. Yeah, in Africa, we know, just as has rightly been said, I think we have about 19 of these committees, national committees. But the situation has been that most of these countries have challenges with preservation issues, preservation for this documentary heritage. And we all know that for any documentary heritage to be inscribed, it must be in a top position, and it must be preserved virtually, I mean in perpetuity, so to speak, so that people can have access to that when they want to. So that has been the issue with the regional committee in Africa. Since the committee was revived, we've been working on getting the national committees to come up with training options so that we'll be able to build the capacity for us to enable us preserve. That's the first thing. Because when we have this documentary heritage well preserved, then it will be easy for us to now move to the next step, getting them inscribed in a register. To this end, 2 or 3 years ago, there have been some training sessions, as mentioned by Mr. Taufik, in Senegal. We had face-to-face training, and then there were some online. Now, what we see from the regional, that is ACMO level, is that we are now trying to put in measures to revive our register. And recently, we've been able to look at the nomination form, which we're now going to send out so that all the other new committees that are not familiar will be able to put something up. Because to us, we know very well that we have a lot of this documentary heritage, but sometimes the issue is the understanding, the knowledge that these materials are the ones which can pass to be inscribed. I think it's at that level that the regional committee is looking at, especially to sensitize the national committees to put these things forward. Thank you.
I know you are financially constrained. You're receiving as much support as you can from us. But how do you hope to engage the many memory institutions on the African continent, later on the African member states themselves, so that they become excited about the idea of having this regional register?
Thank you. I think what we're now looking up, I think is it next week there's going to be a meeting where we're going to plan how we're going to come together to get this. But then we have plans to do online meetings, because that is when you don't have funds to call face-to-face meetings, that's what you use to get these memory institutions together. Let us speak and then let it go down. And in the same way to get the national committees on the same table, and we share this information with them. So that is something next week, I know we have a meeting, the president of ACMO has hinted, and based on that, we'll be able to send this information across. And rightly, as you have said, our issues have been the funding, and UNESCO has given us support. But it's something too that ACMO is looking at, trying to reach out to other organizations and institutions that can give us the support. But for now, we'll be doing a lot of these things online, communicating and making sure that these memory institutions come on board. And to add to that, if I will even speak in Ghana, for instance, what we are doing is now, we are now contacting all the memory institutions, even those that are private. We've done workshops to sensitize them, and looks like people are now getting interested, especially government too is getting interested in getting some of these documentary heritage out there to be inscribed. So these are all measures that we are putting together. Thank you.
A final question to both you and Kwibe. Now, you know, both ACMO and MOCAP operate in different regions, and therefore they face different challenges. Nevertheless, each one of these regional committees has had some kind of success. I wonder whether you can articulate what that success has been, so that you can excite all of us to engage a lot more with you on your journeys. Let me start with you, Helena, and then Kwibe can come on.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think when we talk about ACMO success, reviving it alone is something successful, because it's been up and down. And since it got revived, we've been able to put the Bureau together, and the Bureau has been working with national committees. And to us, that is a way forward. In addition to that, it's also finding ways of now partnering, organized. For instance, ACMO has got a partnership with MOCAP, and MOCAP is supporting us for us to learn from their practices and be able to put on. So we believe that one, we've been able to now sustain to make sure that ACMO is alive and active. Two, we have been able to link up with the national committees. Three, we work with both UNESCO to carry out some of the things that we need by, and then for our relationship with MOCAP. And in this, I must also mention that we also have a very strong relationship with the UNESCO offices, both in Nairobi and in Senegal. And with this, they help us to also carry out, support us for these training workshops. And that is another success, that we've been able to carry out training workshop, especially on preservation, which is the real background to getting this documentary heritage inscribed. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Quibe, please.
Yes, over the past 2 years, MOCAP has dedicated various efforts to promote and preserve the importance of documented heritage in the region. And these efforts have included operating the regional register, publishing materials, and promoting through the website. As a result of these efforts, 64 items documented heritage been inscribed in the regional register, and also enabling the financial support for the preservation and management program. In particular, I'm pleased to introduce the grant program sponsored by the Asia Culture Center in cooperation with the MOCAP, has contributed to the programs and of many NGOs and institutions to preserve the documented heritage in the Asia-Pacific region. Actually, this project aims to safeguard and share the precious record memories that are at the risk of damage, including films and documentaries. So far, 45 projects in 16 countries were sponsored by this program. And also, while the public interest in the MOW program has been increased, but it remains a reality that the status is lower compared to World Heritage or intangible cultural heritage. So, therefore, in the future, efforts will be directed towards enhancing the visibility of the Memory of the World program by strengthening regional capacity building program and intensifying the promotion of the Memory of the program. Thank you.
And Mr. Banda, please, can I chip in this? One
Sure,
more success is that ACMO has a website, a very active website, and thank God we were able to get support from ICDH to get it running. And that is also bringing our sensitizing people and getting people to know that ACMO is alive there and all the functions, everything is on the website. Thank you.
Fantastic. That's good to hear. You know that the International Center for Documentary Heritage is indeed, focusing on Africa as well, as we indeed had intended it to. Let me move on at this point to three experts representing national memory institutions. Let me start with Mrs. Ram Callahan from Mauritius. She happens to be the acting director of the National Archives of Mauritius. Now, Mauritius is a very proud owner of 2 new inscriptions on the international register, and now has 4 more items inscribed there. Could you share some practices that you feel helped you to achieve this milestone and increase visibility for documentary heritage in Mauritius?
Yes, thank you. In fact, that's true. We do have 4 inscriptions.
We can't hear you.
Yeah, sorry. So that's true. We have 4 inscriptions. So the first one was in 1997, the second one in 2015, and last year we got 2 new inscriptions. And I must say it has been a great achievement for Mauritius and the National Archives. And I must also say that it has been a great work. It was a teamwork. We had the support of the Parent Ministry, the Ministry of Arts and Cultural Heritage, and we had the support as well of the staff of the National Archives. We did a great teamwork. And then basically what happens is that whenever we select the documents that we have selected, or those documents which have really marked the history of Mauritius. In fact, Mauritius was colonized by the French and the British, so we do have a rich collection. Moreover, we also do sampling. Like, for instance, the process involves sampling of requests which we receive from users. Like, for instance, the items which were identified are the most consulted records, manuscripts. So based on those sampling, we get an idea which are those records which are mostly consulted. And based on this, we submit our nomination form. Now, in 2021, we also received training from the Korean National Commission. And this training has really helped us to mount this nomination dossier. And for the slavery records, which were scrubbed last year, In fact, we did had the advice of the experts, and they did advise us how to go about, how to fill in the nomination dossier, and we knew what was expected. So when we fill in the form for Père-Laval, it was quite easy, not easy, but it helped us. It helped us, yeah.
That's good to know, and I'm glad that in our midst is Jan Bos, who until recently was the chairperson of the Register Subcommittee of the Memory of the World Program, and he's been involved in some of these capacity building workshops, and he is a useful resource in that sense to draw upon. Moving on to Mr. Jose Silva Evora, who happens to be the chairperson of the National Committee of the Memory of the World for Cape Verde. For you, Jose, what do you desire for documentary heritage in your country and the region at large? You have submitted several nominations during this cycle, and perhaps you could also reflect on those as you attempt to answer this question.
Bonjour,
Do we have Jose
merci
with us?
beaucoup, Monsieur Faxon Banda. Bonjour, mes chers collègues, et félicitations pour l'édition du livre. Merci beaucoup, Misako et son équipe. Je dois vous dire que la Comité national capverdien pour la mémoire du monde n'a été créé qu'en 2020 et notre première soumission au registre international a eu lieu en 2023 pour le cycle 2023-2025. On a eu le soutien de la commission régionale du collègue Papa Momad Diop, mais aussi de notre collègue brésilien Victor de Fonseca, et toujours avec le soutien du ministère de la Culture et de la Commission nationale. On a présenté 3 candidatures, une proposition des archives nationales qui a présenté les documents sur l'esclavage dans le fond du secrétariat général du gouvernement, qui date de 1842. Donc, ce sont des documents intéressants qui concernent le processus de l'abolition de l'esclavage et donc qui constituent une source indispensable pour étudier ce qui se passait au Cap-Vert et ses liens avec le monde au final de l'esclavage. Notamment, il y a beaucoup de documents qui concernent une commission mixte luso-britannique qui a été installée ici au Cap-Vert sur l'île de Boa-Vista en 1942. Et donc, c'est un document qui a une importance indispensable pour le Cap-Vert, mais aussi pour l'Atlantique. On a présenté aussi le fonds des archives Amilcar Cabral. C'était une proposition de la fondation Amilcar Cabral. Amilcar Cabral, comme vous savez, c'était le leader du parti PAIGC, Parti africain pour l'indépendance du Cap-Vert et de la Guinée-Bissau. Et c'est un document qui traite de la libération, beaucoup de documents qui traitent de la libération de l'Afrique du joug colonial et qui couvre plusieurs mouvements politiques des années 60 en Afrique. Et on a fait aussi une candidature conjointe avec notre collègue d'Angola et Mozambique sur les livres des registres des esclaves datant de 1856. Je dois dire que la proposition des archives nationales n'était pas trop difficile car dès le début, le comité a été impliqué, travaillant avec une équipe mise en place pour les archives nationales pour s'occuper du processus. Mais en ce qui concerne la proposition de la Fondation Amilcar Cabral, il a fallu beaucoup de dialogues, beaucoup de discussions pour que la Fondation se rende compte qu'il était nécessaire d'impliquer d'autres institutions et aussi d'autres pays, notamment la Guinée-Bissau et même le Portugal, puisqu'il s'agissait d'une documentation, il s'agit d'une documentation partagée par ces trois pays. Et finalement, on a eu les lettres de soutien des autorités de la Guinée-Bissau et aussi de la Fondation Mário Soares qui est à Lisbonne. Et je dois dire que dans ce processus, dans ce dialogue, nous avons eu le soutien du comité régional à travers M. Papa Momar Diop et de notre collègue brésilien Victor Fonseca, jusqu'à ce que nous parvenions finalement à soumettre la proposition en décembre 2023. Bon, je profite pour dire que, comme vous savez, mon pays, le Cap-Vert, est composé d'îles, ce sont de 9 îles, et bien qu'il existe des archives historiques nationales basées sur une d'entre elles, l'île de Santiago, le patrimoine documentaire se retrouve dispersé entre les îles. Et les activités de sensibilisation menées par les archives nationales et le comité national lui-même se limitent surtout à l'île de Santiago. Et ce que je souhaiterais, c'est que les conditions permettent d'une approche éducative plus importante et plus fréquente avec les autres institutions des autres îles de l'archipel. D'autre part, vous savez que nous avons eu un lien historique long et profond avec la Guinée-Bissau, parce que jusqu'en 1879, la Guinée-Bissau a été sous la domination du gouvernement général du Cap-Vert. Et puis, au XXIe siècle, le leader révolutionnaire Amilcar Cabral a lutté pour l'indépendance des deux pays qui a eu lieu entre 1974 et 1975. Et jusqu'en 1987, les deux pays ont été dirigés par le même parti. Par conséquent, une grande partie de la documentation sur la Guinée-Bissau existe au Cap-Vert, notamment aux archives nationales, et une grande partie de la documentation sur le Cap-Vert, je crois que devrait exister en Guinée-Bissau. Donc, j'aimerais que les deux pays travaillent ensemble pour connaître et faire connaître ce patrimoine documentaire, pour le mettre à la disposition de la communauté universitaire, par exemple, d'une manière ou d'autre, et peut-être pour envisager des propositions de submission conjointe au registre international. Enfin, nous devons identifier et connaître ce patrimoine.
That's a good point.
De prendre soin.
That's a good point to make, Jose. And on that note, I'd like to move on to Ms. Brenda Mamvura and ask her a question that is linked to what you have just been saying, Jose. Brenda is the director of the National Archives of Zimbabwe.
Merci beaucoup, monsieur.
For you, Brenda, how can countries in Africa work together to safeguard and promote Africa's documentary heritage? I'm asking you this question because I know that you might be interested in the liberation movement documents in Africa and how that ties in with everything else that Jose has just said. So how can we do that? Are you with us, Brenda?
I think it's possible that Brenda is not on the call. Perhaps she dropped.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
So we can wait a few seconds.
Right. Okay, perhaps let's take this question back to Mrs. Ramkalahan. How do you think?
Faxon?
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt. I believe Brenda might be having some issues because but Sylvie from Madagascar is willing to jump in to also share her experiences from Madagascar. If we would like to give the floor to them instead.
Well, fantastic. So, well, let's throw that question then to Sahondra Sylvie. What is your take on the need for African countries to work together, given their conjoined histories and the documents that are available, particularly on the liberation struggle?
Voilà.
I can't get that.
Sylvie, tu es mutée.
Voilà. Oui, bonjour. Bonjour à tous. Merci pour cette intervention. Juste, oui, tout à fait, je réponds à votre question. Il est nécessaire quand même qu'il y ait une unité dans l'histoire de notre continent et que chacun, quelque part, connaisse ce qu'il y a ailleurs. Et cela, je crois, c'est pour l'importance culturelle et le développement de notre patrimoine. En fait, pour Madagascar, le comité a commencé en 2021, mais la première participation pour Mémoire du Monde, c'était déjà en 2007, où nous avons présenté le journal du Premier ministre Randlayaribun, en fait, du 19e siècle. Et nous avons essayé cette fois-ci de présenter deux candidatures, celui des Sourabés, c'est-à-dire les cris du 19e siècle, et d'autre part, durant la colonisation, c'est les partitions des musiciens du gouvernement. Déjà fin 19e siècle, ça existait déjà, mais nous avons aux Archives nationales des dossiers sur ces partitions au début du XXe siècle. Voilà à peu près ce que je voulais dire. Et merci à Papa, merci à Misako pour tout le soutien que vous faites pour comment on appelle ça? Pour ce mot, comment on l'appelle? Oui, pour Mémoire du Monde. Voilà, je vous remercie.
Thank you so much. According to the timetable, we don't have much time. I would like to bring this to a close. Perhaps I should ask any one of the participants if they have a question to ask, not only of the panel members, but also of the Memory of the World program. Is there anybody with a question?
I do have a suggestion.
Please.
Yes, I think the OCMO committee, we should meet more often. We must organize more regional workshops. We come up with suggestions. We can share our know-how, our knowledge from what we have acquired, from what we have learned. We come up with suggestions. We meet, we share our ideas so that we can come up with more inscriptions for the African region. And then I also believe that we Mauritius, we don't have much training because courses in archives are quite limited. So we can organize more training sessions. We can share professionals' expertise among countries so that we get to know each other well, because maybe you will agree, there is not much meeting. We don't meet much. We don't communicate much. So I think if we have regional meetings, we can meet, communicate, share our expertise, our know-how, so that we can come up with more inscriptions for the African continent. Thank you.
Certainly, I agree with you. You have got Akmo and you've got Papa Moma Diop, who is very vibrant, and he knows that he can get all the support from UNESCO. So we are at your disposal to help as much as we can. This is a priority for us. So the initiative is in your hands. Any other question or suggestion from anybody else before I hand over back to the organizers?
Hello, Faxon Banda. Can I say something about capacity building about Africa this year?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yes, thank you for good words about the capacity building workshop hosted by the Korean National Commission. Actually, we since 2009, Korean National Commission and UNESCO have worked together on regional training workshop, and so far 74 countries have take part, and also more than 10 nomination has successfully nominated international register. This year, we are hosting workshop in Accra, Ghana in August or September with the Ghana National Commission for UNESCO for specially focus on the African countries. It includes online lectures, free workshop online, and also in-person workshop. So invitation letter will be sent to the UNESCO national commissions in Africa, maybe within a couple of months once. So I strongly hope that we hope to see the strong interest from our fellow African state parties for this workshop. Thank you.
I'm glad to hear that. You know, the National Commission did get our advice, because I did say to my colleague there that it would be useful and I think strategic to have such workshops on the African continent. I see a hand there. It's the ADG. Over to you, Mr. Jelassi.
Thank you, Banda, and my thanks go to all the speakers for this very rich and inspiring session. I just want to reiterate our keen interest in seeing a greater number of nominations coming from Africa for the reasons I mentioned in my opening remarks. But also, as you know, Africa is the #1 global priority of UNESCO. So we are keen on seeing much larger percentage than today's 5%. I believe we can achieve that from the headquarters, from the field offices, with the help and the cooperation of Mr. Papa Momar Diop. He used to be the permanent delegate ambassador of Senegal to UNESCO. He knows inside out UNESCO, also from his current position, of course, in Senegal, but also with the help of or more collaboration between both MOCAP and ARCMO, and with the help of the national MOW committees. It's definitely a collective effort, and we need to coordinate this effort, and we need to set for ourselves a target, a certain maybe number of nominations that we aspire towards in the coming years. Africa deserves a much larger place in the UNESCO Memory of the World International Register, and we can get there. Thank you.
Well said. Let me at this point then hand over to Charmaine for the final remarks.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jelassi, for that final comment. We don't need to reiterate enough that if you look at the publication and how beautiful it is, we are very excited for what lies ahead for the region, and definitely would love to see more nominations from the region. And thank you very much, Faxon, for that wonderful moderation, and to all the speakers for offering your insights from the national and regional perspectives. I'm now going to hand over the time to Mr. Diop and Ms. Sako to close the session. Mr. Diop, please.
Merci, chère madame. Mon mot de clôture sera un message. Vous m'entendez? Allô?
Oui, oui, on vous attend, monsieur Diop.
Oui, on vous entend.
Mon mot de clôture sera un message de pleine satisfaction pour le livre Mémoire du monde, trésor du patrimoine documentaire de l'Afrique. En effet, il vient enrichir la production documentaire de notre comité national. Certes, de ce point de vue, il ne nous fera pas attendre. Il y a des bruits là de fond. There is a noise. Certes, de ce point de vue, il ne nous fera pas atteindre le niveau de nos collègues de MOCAP et de MOLAC, mais nous pouvons être fiers de l'avancée d'ArcMauve depuis 2021, après la léthargie 1988-2021. Pour susciter et stimuler la production documentaire en matière de préservation et d'accessibilité de notre patrimoine documentaire, je pense que le comité exécutif à mettre en place lors de l'Assemblée générale de 2025 d'ArcMauve devrait, dans son plan d'action à court terme, penser à la création d'un bulletin d'information à l'instar du newsletter du sous-comité recherche et éducation sur. Il sera un outil précieux d'information et de réflexion sur les défis auxquels le patrimoine documentaire et les professionnels de l'information documentaire sont confrontés et sur les réponses endogènes potentielles à leur apporter. En outre, je salue la participation à notre cérémonie du président de MOCAP, Dr. Kwebe Kim. J'en profite pour le remercier pour la collaboration active et fructueuse du comité régional Mémoire du monde pour l'Asie-Pacifique et l'aide précieuse que le Centre de catégorie 2 pour la promotion pour le patrimoine documentaire, ICDH. Pour terminer, je voudrais faire deux annonces. La première est que je suis au terme de mon mandat au comité consultatif Mémoire du monde, où j'ai essayé d'apporter ma modeste contribution depuis 2014. La deuxième information est que Madame la directrice générale de l'UNESCO, Madame Audrey Azoulay, a bien voulu nommer au comité consultatif international à titre intuitu personnel. Il s'agit de nos collègues Madame Sylvie Saondra de Madagascar, ancienne directrice générale des archives de Madagascar, membre de l'Ordre des arts et des lettres et de la culture et présidente du Comité national malgache. Il s'agit également de Dr. José Silva Evora, qu'on a écouté tout à l'heure, du Cap-Vert, qui est archéologue, historien et expert en protection et préservation du patrimoine. Il est haut responsable aux archives nationales du Cap-Vert. Quand on dit intuitu personnel, c'est à l'instar de 12 autres membres du comité consultatif international, ils ne représentent pas leur pays ou leur région. Ils représentent leur propre conscience d'experts au regard des principes directeurs du programme Mémoire du monde et du code d'éthique liés à leur statut de membre du comité consultatif international. Je leur souhaite plein succès et à leur exaltante mais lourde mission. Je vous remercie de votre attention et vous dis à très très bientôt. Merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup à vous aussi.
Voilà, donc je pense que nous avons clôturé notre réunion et puis donc on se dit à très très bientôt en ligne ou physiquement quelque part. Allez, au revoir.
Au revoir.
Au revoir à vous aussi.
Au
revoir.
Attendez, je
Yeah,
vais, yes, thank you very much. Oui, je vais, merci papa. Merci papa. Je voudrais dire quelques mots au nom de l'UNESCO et du bureau régional de Nairobi. Déjà, je voulais te remercier, papa, pour tout le soutien que tu nous as apporté. Mais bon, tu es encore là, hein, avec nous. On a encore beaucoup de choses à faire jusqu'à la fin de l'année par rapport à la mobilisation des comités nationaux Mémoire du monde en Afrique. Et je voudrais aussi me joindre à toi pour féliciter Rosé pour sa nomination et aussi Sylvie. C'est vraiment une excellente nouvelle pour l'Afrique. Et, je salue également le soutien de MOCAP par le président Monsieur Kim Kwibe qui va organiser cette formation au Ghana pour la rédaction des nominations. J'ai noté également un certain nombre de priorités qui ont été soulignées par Dr Jelassi par rapport à la prioritisation du patrimoine documentaire dans l'agenda national, le besoin de donner plus de visibilité au patrimoine documentaire en Afrique, le renforcement des capacités des comités nationaux, ça a été souligné par Elena de Ghana, mais aussi Madame Ram Kalamaram de l'île Maurice. Et aussi, papa, j'ai noté aussi le projet que tu mènes pour créer le registre régional Mémoire du monde Afrique avant la fin de ton mandat. Voilà, je voudrais vraiment remercier très chaleureusement tous les participants à ce court événement en ligne. Merci d'être restés en ligne jusqu'au bout. Je remercie mon ADG, Monsieur Jelassi, d'être resté jusqu'au bout. Je pensais que vous alliez quitter après vos remarques, mais c'est vraiment un plaisir de vous avoir. Et puis merci aussi à mes collègues, hein, Faxon, pour l'excellente modération. Et voilà, vous avez tout le soutien du réseau global de l'UNESCO pour faire en sorte que Mémoire du monde en Afrique soit et plus de visibilité. Merci beaucoup.
Merci. Au revoir.
Au
Au
revoir.
revoir. Au revoir.
Félicitations à tous.
Au revoir.
Merci à vous. Au revoir.
Au revoir. Merci.
Au revoir.
Au revoir. Au revoir. Merci.
Au revoir.
Bye.
Au revoir.
Bye.
Thank you
Au
very much.
revoir.
Au revoir.
Bye bye.
Goodbye from Zimbabwe.
Bye.
Au
Au
revoir.
revoir, Papa Dio. Au revoir, tout le monde. Merci, tout le monde.
Bye-bye
Au
from
revoir
Ghana.
tout le monde.
Bye everyone, and
Merci.
thanks
Bye
very
from
much.
Nigeria.
Thank you for attending.
Thank
It was nice
Merci.
having you.
Merci.
Bye.
Au revoir.
Merci. Au revoir.
Oh.
Bisa, bisa.